welcome to the Cinco de Mayo edition of the Patty G Show. We over here at Mestizo's on Acadian next to the interstate. I've got Jim Urdiales, owner, founder, and tequila extraordinaire to my left. And I've got Ozzy Fernandez of Modesto. Yes, we're doing a collab, a push together for this year's Cinco de Mayo celebrations. We've got 10 bags in front of us. They've got different tequilas and mezcals, maybe, who knows, a bottle of Patron's in there. Not really sure. These guys brought it. I'm here to taste it. So we'll get right into that. But before we do, Jim, why don't you explain a little bit about who you are, Mestizos. Thank you for hosting, by the way.
Absolutely.
And then we'll let Ozzy do some introductions, and we'll get into the drinking.
Got it. So I'm Jim Urdiales, owner of Mestizo Restaurant, actually Louisiana Mexican cuisine as our name. We're located here at Acadian I-10. We're actually preparing to celebrate our 25th anniversary next year, so we're going to have a lot of festivities coming up.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
That's awesome.
That is
Kind
awesome.
of a big deal. Kind of really happy
That
about
is
that.
a huge deal.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So, and I still have my hair. It's good, So that's a proud thing. And again, Cinco de Mayo is coming up next week, and actually when you see this whole segment, it'll be that day. But Cinco is it's an interesting day for a lot of us because it's really an American holiday that we love to just use to celebrate to do the Mexican thing. I love that Facebook post that said, after St. Patrick's Day, you go ahead and put your Irish hat up and get your Mexican sombrero ready for May 5th. But it's on a Friday, and so weather looks nice. We're going to do a lot of outdoor activities as far as seating and really pushing most of the party outside so we can seat people on the inside. I've kind of learned over the years it's the best thing to do is just accommodate the guests, but move the event really outdoors as much as possible so that you can still seat people and feed them.
Yeah.
So Mestizo is going to be a fun little place to rock on Cinco de Mayo next week.
I love it.
Awesome.
It's going to be fun. What about you, Ozzy? What y'all got over at
Yeah, my name is Ozzy Fernandez, I'm owner of Modesto Tacos, Tequila, and Whiskey, located on Burbank, there in the shadows of Tiger Stadium. We've only been open a couple years now.
Not quite 25.
We're not 25.
But you've been around for a while.
We've been around a little while. But no, we're having fun. It's Cinco de Mayo's, on our doorstep here. And as Jim said, both of my parents are from Mexico. I didn't really celebrate Cinco de Mayo growing up. It wasn't really anything in our household. Obviously it's the independence from the French. But, the marketing and the liquor component, Corona, and all the Mexican beer, really pushed it. And it's a fun holiday. It's a holiday to have fun. And it's big in Baton Rouge. And every year we've been doing a block party there, outside tent, kind of like Jim, pushing people outside. We have live music, giveaways, kind of just different fun things. And it's on a Friday this year, so
that's a good year.
So it should be rocking and rolling. Everybody looking to get their Cinco on, and we do a lot of catering. People doing house parties and wanting to kind of throw their own Cinco fiesta at their casa. So Patty G, thanks for y'all coming up with this idea.
Absolutely.
Feature some tequilas, taste some tequilas and some mezcals. So excited to get tasting.
Yeah. So we've got a variety here. Initially, neither of y'all knew which the other one brought, which is exciting. There was some matching, which is kind of cool to see y'all both had similar palates. But I'm curious to get started with yours, Jim, since you're the host here. Go ahead and let us know what your first one is, and I'm thirsty. So
Okay.
Let's get to it.
We need a drum roll, man.
No, not with the.
Ozzy and I were talking before, and the number one thing when people come to the restaurant, they always say, "What's your favorite tequila?" And that's like saying, what's your favorite wine? I mean,
exactly.
It's varied. And so when I chose this, I really thought this would be a simple one-night tasting where I could do it. And I actually thought about it quite a while because when I'm tasting tequila, and I think Ozzy and I were talking about this earlier, I'm always thinking about who is going to appreciate this tequila? Who's going to love this? Is this going to be a Scotch drinker that loves that profile, or is this a lady that wants to do a ranch water and something cleaner, or are we going to have someone that's more of a sophisticated palate and they're looking for something that's totally different, or they want a mezcal that's just going to, rush their throat. So when you taste these, it's all about just thinking about who is going to appreciate it, but also the nuances of why that tequila or mezcal is special for a reason. So before I reveal my first one, I only really kind of drink wine and Scotch. That's only my two. It's only two things I drink.
Interesting.
I don't really care for bourbon. The other spirits don't really excite me, so when I'm tasting, if I go into, especially with the Añejos and extra Añejos, sometimes they go into that Scotch or they go into a bourbon realm. I tend to really appreciate something that goes in closer to a Scotch realm,
Interesting. Yeah.
which is why my first tequila, the Trace
Right.
Barricas. Now, I just got the new bottle in
That's a fancy
this
bottle.
week, and the profile is a little bit different. Now, this one is a 3-barrel. It is a Añejo. This one probably retails about $75 if you find this at, out somewhere else. What I love about this one is it's aged in 3 different barrels: American oak, tawny port, and ruby port. It is a small batch with red fruit notes from port cask. I like this one because it surprisingly goes into what I call a Scotch realm for me.
Okay.
And so when I'm tasting with people, I'm always like, who's a Scotch drinker, who's a bourbon drinker? And it's not that it's a right or wrong answer. It's just what you're going to probably prefer because that's what you're used to sipping on before. So you fellas come try, and I'm going to sip with y'all as well.
Excellent. That smells
And
great.
again,
You pick up those notes there, man. That's
that nice. Now again, I always tell people when you're sipping
Get the
really
American
nice,
oak.
when you're sipping good tequilas, you're always going to get hints of cinnamon and vanilla. That's always a guarantee. It's so abundant in Mexico. That's always going to come on the palate.
definitely getting that vanilla. A little
I mean, on the
toasted,
nose,
I
the
get,
vanilla
I
is.
get the cinnamon.
which is that too. At the end there, it stays on the tongue.
Yeah.
I mean, that is enjoyable.
Yeah.
I've not had that.
Yeah.
This
That's
is very
good.
good.
Yeah.
And-
love the bottle too. The little,
and- yes.
little ranchero style.
Just like,
leather,
"Arr, yeah.
King Ranch style.
And
maybe.
and again, if you're at the house and you have one of those nice little round ice balls, you put one of those. I can go back and forth as far as room temp. Some people need that little ice just to kind of tone it down
Yeah.
and balance it out a little bit.
I don't think it needs ice. I mean,
I love this
is
one
good
as
at
it
room
is.
temp.
No,
This is
no,
so
yeah.
smooth. So this is a tequila.
This is tequila. This
So
is an Añejo.
Okay.
will warm
so what's
you
an
up.
añejo? Yeah, well,
If
I'm warm on the
Anejo means
inside.
vintage
Okay.
in Spanish, so it's been
Gotcha.
aged
Right.
at least 2 years plus.
Yeah.
I don't know how long is that.
Well,
one
you know,
been?
Ozzy, we missed the opportunity to start the conversation. Is most people don't realize that what makes tequila special is most of your other spirits is a raw product in the ground for 1 year. It's
Okay.
extracted and it's distilled and aged. That plant usually reproduces itself. Okay, tequila comes from the blue agave. They don't touch the blue agave on the lower end of tequilas. Sometimes 4. When you start getting into these beautiful tequilas, they're not touching that agave until 8, 9, 10 years.
Yeah, mature.
It's a mature, like they wanted that plant to just take in as much energy from the earth.
Yeah.
Once they extract the agave from the ground, that plant is dead. So they have to replant it. So then once you go through the distillation process, the first level is your silver or plata. It's the same thing. If it goes into a resting stage at all, it's going to be a stainless steel barrel. But most of the time they go straight to the bottle, and that's why it's the clear. When you get to a reposado, which means rested, it's going to sit in an oak barrel or a barrel of some sort for at least 6 to 9 months.
Okay.
And it's going to start to get a little bit like a coloring agent because of the barrels. A silver plata will be always clear. When you get to the Añejo, that tequila is aged in an oak or barrel for at least 1 year.
It's great.
So it's taking on more of the nuances of the barrel. The conversation we're going to have as we go further is what type of barrels, just like winemaking, it matters whether it's American oak, French oak, Hungarian oak, Canadian oak, what type of cherry cask barrels. So those flavors can kind of start infiltrating in that tequila.
But even like the port almost, this has kind of like a sweetness
Mm-hmm.
to it, which I imagine is from the port barrels
Yeah.
themselves, like the tawny port and the ruby port. So this is
Yeah.
good. Like I definitely get the red fruit notes for sure.
Right.
And it definitely warms you up. It's,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you feel the
Which is great for Cinco, right?
Yeah,
When it's
it's
good.
great for Cinco.
Louisiana Cinco.
But you
Yeah.
can you see how as a Scotch drinker, why I
Yes.
like this?
So yeah, you definitely get some Scotch notes in there.
There's this
some
beautiful,
aging.
it's
Yeah.
really, really nice and subtle. This is one of my favorites. Again, I don't have one true favorite. and I kind of sneaked a peek at some of Ozzy's, and and I already know that some of his favorites are some of my also favorites. And but again, it's not about
tough. It's tough.
And
to
again,
have.
it's not right or wrong. It's just what's your preference.
Yeah, it's
What
your
you're in the
palate's
mood
after.
for.
Yeah.
And then generally that's kind of where I'm at is what am I in the mood for?
Correct.
As I age, the hangovers are a little tougher the next day, So I'm looking for cleaner, pure, high quality stuff. And that's generally like the Anejos. I love the Anejos. A lot of people are kind of a little scared of them because of they're a little bit more, a little robust, and they're not. To me, they're sipping. Love to sip on them, but a lot of people want to mix them with cocktails, which is fine.
Yep.
It's great. Nothing wrong with that. That is fabulous.
Yeah.
That's a
It's
great
Totally
choice.
a sipper. Really don't need anything else besides this, unless you want to put a little ice on. That's perfect.
Yeah, I was about to say,
Yeah.
I would not want to put that.
Maybe
as a
shake
mixer.
it, stir it in a little ice, and then
That's it.
drain it. Sip
So
it.
salute, fellas, and
Salute,
we'll move on to
yeah.
Ozzy. Huh?
Yeah.
Salute.
Yeah. Well, I killed that. Well, as I mentioned, clean something. I'm going to start off with something that I kind of drink often. I kind of got on this one about 6 months ago. I kind of have a couple of favorites that I drink regularly. If I am drinking, I don't drink a whole lot. Don't want
Unless you
people
come
to
on the
think
show.
the wrong idea. I think I brought one that I drink a lot on your show, Patty. Because I try to live an active lifestyle, and with kids and family and work and hobbies, and you don't want to wake up the next day with the cobwebs in your head. So to me, people. Margaritas, I love margaritas, but I'm kind of one and done because of the sugar. I'm more of a Topo Chico, ranch water, or sipping,
Correct.
And so my first choice here, and it's not my favorite, but it's something that is a little bit on the cleaner side. It is a Blanco. I think it's silky, it's smooth. They take a lot of pride in their ovens, little adobo ovens. They grow, they make the adobo ovens out of the same material that's on the land where they grow the agave. And these agaves are at least 6 years old. It's little piñas,
Yep.
they cut on there. They do let them mature.
Yeah.
It's all about the bottles too these days. People buy the bottle. Like, oh, that's a good looking bottle. And the history that goes into the bottle is unique. What they do, they get the local economy involved, locals, blowing glass, making the caps and the design. And so my first choice here to reveal is a Blanco. Is that Leyenda?
Very nice. Very
Okay.
nice.
It's a Blanco. Again, it's sweet, it's silky, it's clean. It's
Beautiful.
a great one to mix with the. It's got a little Aztec. Leyenda's. She's kind of laying.
The legend.
La mujer dormida, the
Yeah.
woman, the woman asleep is what it translates to. So
Honestly,
this is in Jalisco.
Yeah, and if I'm correct, that is a female-owned company as well.
I think so.
I'm pretty sure that is. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, this is
a Fita owned.
Well, there's a big movement right now where you're seeing a lot more female controlled makers in tequila. And
Sure.
it's the biggest thing is every one of them coming out now is like, oh, it's a female run or owned company now, and it's again culturally that's just really something
there we
kind of
go.
unique. This
Cheers.
is beautiful stuff right here.
cheers. I'm not the best pourer.
It's all good. That's a hard bottle to pour out of.
Yeah,
too.
it is. It's
That's
a little wide.
That's a challenge.
But it's pretty.
It's
But,
very
look,
pretty.
when we go skiing, you kind of after ski, you're looking to have a drink or two and go into the evening. For me, it's all about tequila. When sometimes we go to Aspen. I tell you what, the popularity of tequila in
Yeah,
Aspen
it's crazy.
is amazing.
Yeah.
Everyone is drinking tequila, and it's because you can wake up the next day if you're mixing it with, maybe club soda or Topo Chico. If you're starting to add the sugar in there, you're going to start to
Right.
kind of mess
Have
with
some
the
challenges.
Yeah. So you can kind of get up the next day. Salute, guys.
Salute.
And I wouldn't call this. You can sip this, but it's
But it's nice because Patrick was asking earlier. This is, especially when you get into blancos and silvers, like you can smell that agave
you
right
can,
away.
You
That
kind of
sweet-
get a little pineapple.
Yeah.
It's smooth. It's silky.
Pineapple?
Smooth.
I don't. Maybe a little bit of that fruitiness in there. Okay, so that's pineapple. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's no pineapple in there.
There's
but
no
it's just some
pineapple.
notes.
Yeah.
But just notes
yeah,
that come up. But this is one of my favorites too. This one's nice.
So-
It's a good mixing tequila.
Right.
Right.
So this being a
Like
Blanco,
a ranch water.
was a stainless drum, as Jim
Yeah,
was
it's
mentioning.
just-
Okay,
yeah.
not a barrel aged.
Not barrel aged.
Gotcha.
That's why you're gonna have all that clarity and the clear color.
Right.
It's got a little herbal to it, you know.
This is
so-
the one the high schoolers use in water bottles, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's a great. I mean, I think the price point on that is it's probably around $80-$90, I guess.
And you know, Ozzy, one things I always tell people when we talk about tequila is when I'm tasting, the first thing before I even taste the tequila, and I say, what's the price point on the layers? Because I'm trying to put it in categories: is this entry, mid, or high level tequila?
Correct.
So that I can start to understand what their purpose was. Because to stand out in a mid level tequila, which is really extraordinary now, to see these values on tequilas where they don't necessarily all have to be super expensive. It's just like wine. We talked about that earlier. This
Yeah,
is
we
the
did,
same mentality of wine. You can go spend a lot of money on a very expensive bottle of tequila. That doesn't guarantee that you're going to love it.
Right.
So that's why we always encourage people to sample and taste. And your taste profile is not right or wrong. It's just what you like.
Yeah.
Right? This is...
No, that's 100% correct. You know, people text me all the time or call me, hey, I'm looking for a good tequila. And then it's about the value, the value to taste and all that, and kind of what you get. I do look into, you know, I utilize that criteria a lot.
Yeah.
You know, like, again, the tequila Ocho, I didn't bring that, but to me,
Yeah.
the quality of the Ocho and the price point is just, for an everyday tequila, well, not every day, but for a more common tequila, it's a
Yeah.
great tequila. So.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, but it is very different between the first one that we had.
Correct.
Like in that one, so far I'm drawn more to this one, but again,
Yeah.
I'm a bourbon drinker.
Right.
You know, so that darker drink is a lot better for me.
Right.
But no, this is still, it's kind of borderline for me, sipping versus mixing.
Correct.
Just from
I would
initially
call this
taking
more of
it.
a mixing.
Yeah, it's closer to like this in a ranch water would be
Yes.
divine.
Yeah.
So this is good.
Or
And
Paloma, I mean, whatever you want to do, you know?
And actually that end, you get a little black pepper finish too that kind of comes up a little bit.
Yeah. Now that you say that. Which that's also funny about the tasting notes. It's like as soon as somebody says one thing or another, you start, okay, well, there it is. Nope, there it
Yep.
is. And again, neither right or wrong. It's just what you get.
It's
what
what you
your
get.
profiles are getting and how you're tasting it.
Correct.
It's an easy, it goes down easy.
Yeah.
You're not needing salt on your thumb
Yeah.
and a lime in your hand, you know?
Right.
The old,
The old
Adage of-
throwback
yeah.
trick. Which, I mean, even whenever you were on the show, Ozzy, and you brought your different tequilas, we never once were like, oh, I need something to chase it. And so
Correct.
far, it's like everything we've
Yeah.
had, and I'm sure we will continue to have, is not chase necessary. There's
Sure.
no necessity to chase it with something because of how smooth everything is.
yeah,
So,
that's right.
Awesome.
let's rock. What you got next?
All right. So I kind of went in a different realm, but this one is one that's really special. You know, back in the day, we were talking about earlier was, you know, the reason I think so many people are intimidated about tequila was they had this bad experience early in high school or college where they were shooting tequila, you know, with the worm or something.
we've all had
that. Yeah, well, actually, I did. Mine was more Jägermeister than tequila in college. But anyway, but they have this bad image of, and so it's hard to, and it's taken this long for people to change their perception of tequila. And so one of the brands, it's one of the oldest brands out there, and actually all of them, even Cuervo does a beautiful La Familia, which I think is always outstanding every year. You know, the Trace Generation line is solid. But this one is from the Herradurra family.
Love
And actually the entire Herradurra line is really solid
It is solid.
from start to finish. I mean, solidly good tequila. But I did this one when I did a tequila dinner with them a little while back. And they are actually, this is the last of this edition. So it's kind of special because they're moving to a new one. So this is the Herradurra Suprema.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a
Extra
tequila.
Añejo.
That is.
Another Anejo, extra.
Extra Añejo.
So what does that mean?
That means it's aged at least 3 years. So Añejo is 1 year. Extra Añejo is guaranteed to sit for at least 3 years.
Okay.
Okay. What's interesting about tequilas is once you go past that old stage, it completely starts to change into a beautiful story.
You know, I mean, when you pull that, my initial reaction was, is that like a bourbon or a scotch? Just from how dark and
Yep.
colorful it was. I mean, you've got two similar two same types of spirits, and then it's so totally different in colors.
Yeah. And again, we're going to go through a wild journey with both of our tastings.
Wild.
Very
Wild
Very
tasting.
wild dirty.
Yeah, see, that has got some rich color to it. Oh, wow.
Again, very cognac inspired.
Yeah.
Double distilled in American oak. This one has a lot of smooth caramel notes.
I say it's got a very sweet nose. It's
Right.
very, very sweet.
So one of the things I do whenever I'm tasting
That is nice.
any tequila or spirit, and I do this a lot with food, I actually close my eyes of what's the first memory that comes in. This tequila is not what comes to my palate when I smell this.
Those little caramel candies getting stuck in your teeth is what this reminds me
Correct.
of. It's like I can feel the back molar popping out.
Yeah.
There you go. I love those
Halloween.
candies.
Yeah, the Halloween candies. Just, I can feel it losing a tooth with this.
Those are great candies. Definitely
And
get
also-
that caramel in there.
Kind of some
A
chocolate
little vanilla.
Oh yeah.
Smooth.
Super smooth.
At the end there, it's just very smooth. Kind of leaves you wanting more.
I don't
Yeah,
know
wow.
if you can say that. That's like sex in a bottle.
Too.
That's really
That's-
freaking good
That is
stuff.
That is dangerous
The
too.
Herradurra, you're exact. That was kind of my go-to in the beginning. Was
Yeah.
the Herradurra line.
Yeah.
You know, that's really what I drank quite a bit. And not that I moved on because again, but you're just exploring.
Yeah.
Right. There's so many great tequila and the stories behind them, and really the people behind them. Right.
Right.
And the process that goes into it. It's quite amazing. I mean, YouTube is a great educational platform. If you want to see how the process, they'll bring you in the distillery, they bring you out to the harvesting of the blue agave plants, and it's interesting with the blue agave. A lot of people, when you're buying a bottle, look for the CRT.
Yep.
Right, there is a regulatory group that regulates these that they have to pass. So if you're looking for something that's 100% blue agave, there's a little CRT label on the back of the bottle,
Okay.
that's stamped.
Yeah.
It kind of lets you know, it's a regulatory governance body that, it's kind of like whether it's Neapolitan pizza, it's kind of regulating that and making sure that they're meeting those standards and selling you a quality product. So I tell a lot of people, they'll call me and say, hey, just look on the back if it's,
Right.
look, see if it's CRT stamped, so.
And Anazio, I'll ask you a question. This is one of the things that you made a good point in that last statement was, for a while we had all the standard makers like Herradurra and Cuervo and Trace Generation line that was standard, let's say 15 years ago. And then all of a sudden the new kids came on the block, and I remember when Penta came out, I was enamored with Penta.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
still am. And then I remember I went to Merida like 12 years ago, and that's the first time I saw the Dobel line. And then all of a sudden, the Class Azul comes out, and everybody's enamored because of this pretty bottle. And then all of a sudden I went back and I said, wait a minute, why did I forget about Herradurra? Like,
Correct.
they were so standard, but you got so captured with all the new people and the new bottling. But Herradurra said, oh, I'm sorry, in case you forgot who we are.
Correct.
They rolled this out, and they are not
Correct.
playing.
They have elevated their game.
And look,
there's some, yeah.
And I'm sharing, this is a $350 bottle.
It tastes like it.
Yeah, I was about to say you
freaking
could
smooth.
sip on this all day.
Yeah,
Like this
so
is
isn't that extraordinary?
that bottle would disappear rapidly
Yeah.
if left alone.
No.
Yeah, it's that.
We're
smooth.
gonna come here and belly up at the bar at
Don't
Mestizo.
Don't make me cut you.
I think we're gonna wrap on that, and we'll see y'all later. We're gonna go finish this bottle. No, this is absolutely divine.
Yeah,
this
it's
is
extraordinary.
Yeah.
This
You don't want to leave a sip of this in your cup.
Yeah.
No, but this is also dangerous if this is like your entry into sipping tequila.
Right.
It's like a very much spoilage effect.
Right.
You will get so spoiled on this, you're not going to want to try anything else, which will get pricey.
But as we go forward, though, and because I know the profile we're about to go through, again, like wine, if all of a sudden you find, let's say Frank Family Cab is your jam.
Good bottle.
Frank Family.
Frank,
Yeah.
love some
Love
Frank
some Frank
Family.
Family Cab.
So good.
I
Well,
wonder who sells more Frank Family than anybody.
It's a good wine, though.
Yeah,
But
it
it's
is solid.
that becomes, I guess, what you can start comparing other cabs to. That doesn't mean that another cab is better or worse. It's all of a sudden that became your lock of what is a good cab, right?
Right.
So that's what's interesting about tequila is you have to let go of old school premonitions of what tequila is, and then also just be adventurous about tasting beautiful tequilas. throughout the journey.
And be willing to not just look for the tequilas that you're going to take a shot at a bar with a lime and salt chaser. Look for something you're going to sit and can enjoy.
Correct.
Add it into your lineup.
Total sip.
Yeah,
So-
that was good.
That was very enjoyable.
That's nice.
Good
I know I should have
selection.
saved it
So
for last.
hard
but
to follow there.
It didn't
Austin.
matter.
It really is. I mean, he started off real strong. I mean, if this was a race, he's way up there.
he's
You know, I was
moving.
kind of leading people in, you know.
It's a progression,
You
right?
know,
It's a
just a
progression.
clean, simple, clean ranch water. You want to
Yeah.
drink by the pool
Right.
all day long. It's hot outside. You know, mix it.
You're prepping them for
Yeah.
Cinco.
We're
He's
moving
prepping
on
them
up.
for, either starting their
No,
day
that's
or
great.
I wouldn't
No,
want
this
to
is
drink
fini-
that
no,
midway
this is
during
how
the
you're
day.
finishing your day for
finish
sure.
your day with
You're
that.
that.
That is
definitely
a,
finishing your
That's
day.
your nightcap.
Absolutely.
That is a nightcap. That's
Yeah.
a good
That's
way
a
to
good
put it.
nightcap.
Beautiful stuff.
Yeah,
Ozzy,
no,
what you got next?
What's next?
Yeah, so we're moving down the list here, kind of, but back to one of your points there, because, tequila's hot. There's no argument about that. I mean, tequila worldwide is kind of a phenomenon that's going on. Even Europeans, well, I think we're going to get into some of the tequilas that Europeans are kind of, or some of the owners that have come in and set up distilleries there in Jalisco, but Mexican food in general. I think I read an article that Mexican food took over Italian food globally as popularity. Whether it was global, I mean Mexican, Latin combined took over Italian food, which is strong. You know, I think tequila is still lagging vodka globally. I'm not sure. I hadn't looked at the statistics, but the popularity of tequila is just on the rise, and it's all segments of the population, and we see it every day. So the next one we're doing is Fortaleza Repo.
Ooh.
It's a solid again.
Yep.
I love the bottle cap on here.
That's pretty good.
That's the
I like-
piña, the agave that's cut. So this is a solid bottle. The Fortaleza, they take a lot of pride in what they do.
Beautiful.
Single barrel. Their ovens, again, they kind of build them, and their process there that they're doing.
Have you had this
is
one,
quite
Patrick?
Phenomenal.
Jim, I haven't had any of these bottles up
are
here.
you serious?
Well, I don't know. We'll get through the rest of them.
Okay, this is beautiful stuff.
I'm
right
excited.
here. Yeah.
So the repo is, means, reposado means resting. Again, it's probably from 2 to 12 months, somewhere in there. I'm not sure exactly what this one is done, but we're getting, more than the Blanco. This is more of a sipping. It's still a little clear, which is great for mixing. If you're looking for a higher end tequila, margarita on the rocks. Ooh, that's some big pours. Huh?
Yeah, that was like, damn,
Like,
Ozzy.
oh my gosh.
Heavy pours.
Hey.
Where's that chair? I'm gonna sit down real quick.
You're gonna get some good. It's clean. It's another one that's clean. It's smooth. But it's hard to follow up the Añejo that we just had as far as a sipping tequila. But they're really involved in the community. Again, they're big into these bottles are hand blown. I know but it brings whether it's work to the economy there. Local workers working, specialty art people, the bottle caps, they're kind of outsourcing that all around the community to kind of come up with and really make it a community driven, which is phenomenal.
Well, and going back to the points that y'all were mentioning about the bottles being an attraction factor for people whenever they're purchasing any type of spirit, whether it's a wine bottle or a bourbon bottle or a scotch bottle, they're looking for something different that draws their attention. So having this cap, that to me is like intriguing, even though the bottle may be simple in design.
Correct.
It's not as flashy as this, this belted up bottle over here we've got, or this fancy tall cap over here, but it's like that top, if you know what it is, you're like, hang on.
Sure.
They're giving some tribute back to where it's from. Its origin. They're giving some, hey, this is where we come from.
No, that's exactly
I love
it. It's no different than Jim's restaurant. Beautifully designed, furnished, and he's backing it up with his cuisine.
Right.
It's the same thing that they're doing. Is they're putting their heart and effort into their quality. But their only chance to really get to you is when the bottle comes to your, when you buy the bottle.
Right.
So it's an important feature. Not that but you see it. They're really kind of like you said, the Clase Azul.
Right.
people were intrigued with that. Handmade,
So
crafted.
pretty.
They want the
it's
bell.
so pretty. Yeah,
That's it.
You
They
know,
want
but
the
it is
bell.
a good product.
And what's nice about this one also, they went through some supply issues where we couldn't get this for a while, and it's just starting to kind of come back. And so
tough to
people
get.
who really love this tequila really suffered for a few months where,
Especially the Anejo.
you could not
can't even get it.
still, yeah. But Ozzy, I never told you about this. Was so basically the blue agave has the prawns, and they pull it off, and so they get to the core of the pina, and so the longer they leave the agave in the ground, the bigger the plant gets, right? So when they get to the pina, it's interesting because some pinas are bigger than other pinas. So they have to quarter or extract it to roast them. So yeah, so like a small pina, they can just
Throw
put
it in
right into
there.
the roaster.
Right.
But a big pina, someone has to cut and slice
You got to slice and dice it.
With the machete.
with a machete. So I'm
probably-
just saying, that's one of my jokes, that all pinas are created equal.
But it's a great, it's silky smooth.
Salute.
On that,
That's
salute.
it. It's a
They're
good one.
varied in size,
There
right?
you go. And that black pepper on the end is so beautiful.
It is. It has a little spice to it there at the end. It just keeps you nice and warm, It's simple. It's
This
clean.
is a beautiful sipper.
So, Ozzy, I'm reading your taste notes here. So if I'm reading this right, these bottles were made 150 years ago.
Some of them, I guess. I mean,
So this is intriguing. So like they're bottling with older bottles. They're not making all of them. I guess some of them are
Yeah.
probably new, but
Correct.
that's really cool to still use some past year
Refurbished
bottles.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
This is good.
It is good. It's
So
a good story
he's-
on it.
he's
too.
got a
That's
color
the thing
progression.
about you when you start diving into these tequila, the story behind it.
Yep.
Ownership is one thing, but really they go in there and they partner with the community too, right? Because you need outside investment a lot of times. You get it from all kinds of. We look at Casa Amigos. Who was our guy? That started one of
George Clooney.
George Clooney.
Yeah.
I mean, how much did they sell that for?
Yeah.
My goodness.
750 million.
Yeah, some record.
And George
yeah.
will keep you, if you can endorse it for 2 more years, we'll give you an extra 250 million. Like that fool needed $1 billion, for God's sake. So I was like, come on.
But they're intriguing stories each time, but it
Yeah.
really goes down to the community, and a lot of this is age old, like you said, 150 years. These are dads, that teaching their
These are
sons,
families. These are
grandfathers,
families, yeah.
their families that have done this for, ages.
I love that about spirits, where it's generational.
Correct.
Unless
Right.
it's a brand new spirit, you've got generations of knowledge, expertise that they're passing down, and then now you have this new generation maybe wanting to change things up a bit, maybe
Correct.
wanting to add a little bit of flair here, but for the most part, it's like, well, they've been doing this for 150 years. Let's keep rocking and rolling.
And look, Fortaleza could change, and they could get automated and really increase their production, and
choose not to.
they're choose not to. They're not going to go against family traditions and really age old techniques that would not be who they are.
Right.
They're staying true to their name, which I really appreciate.
Yeah. And look, and just to add one note, because we probably should have covered this earlier, a lot of people are always intrigued by this, but to be called tequila, it has to come from the state of Jalisco, Mexico.
Okay.
It cannot come from any other part of Mexico. Now, there's 5 regions that kind of go right outside of the state of Jalisco, but all tequila comes from the state of Jalisco, Mexico. Most people don't realize that. I've had people say, well, I went to Cancun and it's not
That's
tequila.
Quintana Roo.
It's not tequila unless it came from Jalisco, Mexico. So you'll usually see that on the bottle, and that's an important note, just like champagne.
That's a good point.
True champagne has to come from Champagne, France. Tequila has to come from the
Well,
state
there is a
of
city
Jalisco.
called Tequila.
And there is a city of tequila in Jalisco.
Yeah.
And the capital city of of Jalisco is Guadalajara, which is a beautiful city, but it's right in the center, and then you have to go on the outskirts to start
Yeah.
seeing all the agave plants. Yeah.
I love that. So
Awesome.
So much to learn, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
I learn something every day on tequila. Well,
Yeah.
not every day, but when you start really diving into it, and
Right.
especially the different distilleries and so forth.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's an endless supply of just education
Right.
that has to happen. So within that education,
All right.
You've got your third bottle, Jim.
Third
What you
bottle.
got?
This was going to be interesting because me and Ozzy are on the same plane on this one, but in a different way.
Okay, explain.
Because it's a beautiful, beautiful tequila. His is one of my favorites, but I was in Orlando about 3 weeks ago for a conference, and I'm sitting at the bar having lunch, and I see this bottle, and I'm like, is that what I think it is, in a different colored bottle? And I was intrigued. So it's one that's worthy of a good discussion. I think we're gonna get into the maker, but it's the Komos. Komos, beautiful, beautiful line.
Great.
That is incredible.
But this is the Reposado Rosa.
Great line.
They just do beautiful. They typically, you'll see the Añejo in the blue bottle, which is gorgeous. This one is a Blanco based that they put in a red wine French oak barrels. So it gets more of a lighter pinkish hue, which in a weird
Almost
way,
like a rosé.
I was intrigued by this because I was like, okay,
All right, we need to educate y'all on pours here, gentlemen.
We're heavy-handed.
Very heavy-handed. My gosh. That does look like a rosé almost.
you see how it looks like?
Yeah, it's got like a pink hue to it.
Hence the bottle, right?
Right, I was about to say. So
Yeah.
this is a clay bottle.
Yeah, this is
It's a
beautiful.
beautiful bottle. Again, that's
This
you know,
is-
I don't even know
like,
the
that's
story.
incredible.
It's-
Yeah, beautiful,
It's a great
beautiful
bottle.
stuff. And again, I was intrigued
It's a
because
heavy
the suppliers had not shown me this yet. I see it in Orlando. I take a picture and I send it to my supplier. I say, "Hey, are y'all carrying this?" She goes, "Yeah, we just got it in." I said, "Well, send me a bottle." And I had it waiting for me when I got back.
That
But
is-
it's unique and different.
That is good.
This is a fun sipper.
This is the
interesting.
Komos. You know, I mean, that's next up for us too. We might as well
Yeah.
just reveal it
Yeah.
and get. You know, let's go with the
Boom, there's
Yeah.
the blue
you
bottle.
know, the
Y'all take the
Anejo,
bag.
right? But
Yeah.
we're gonna get into a Cristalino right here, right?
Correct.
So
Yep.
we're gonna talk all about that.
All
soon,
that as well.
But, this is I've not had this
Yeah.
one because I've been stuck on the Anejo
Right.
Cristalino. You
And
know,
again, that's one of my favorites that I sip on just for fun. And when I had this, I was like, holy crap, this is actually quite interesting. I mean, the fact that you have, and again, you always think, was it marketing? They're going for this pink hue. They're trying to approach one. No, it's actually really a nice sipper.
This is a very good sipper. So y'all have got the same line here, but two different products. Oh, we're gonna do side by side tasting. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what is the difference? You've got a Reposado here.
and I've
Right.
got the
Yours, Jim.
Anejo,
You've got
the
the-
Cristalino. So
Okay.
So a lot of people, we talked about that, and we're going to get into the Cristalino. This is an Anejo, so it's been aged. Look at the difference in the pores here. I'm feeling it. You give Jim the big one.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, a lot of people are, I don't want to say intimidated, you know, with the Anejo. You know, that it's a little bit more robust,
Yeah.
right? A little spicier. The tannins are maybe a little heavier. So the Cristalino, this is an Anejo, but then they filter it through a charcoal process, right? Through this
Okay.
process. I'm not even quite sure. I'd love to see that. Though.
Yeah.
We need to get to
Yeah.
maybe the next time we go to Jalisco
Come
and
on.
we do our own little
I'm in.
Maybe,
Pod-
maybe
pod
we could do a whole
black, yeah.
podcast
Ooh,
Yeah.
from Mexico.
from Jalisco.
So
I'm in.
So again,
We'll
so
have gear.
this,
We'll travel.
you know, people are looking. This is a really sipping tequila.
This is so
right?
pretty,
I mean,
too.
if you're mixing
God
this,
dang,
that's
this is
fine.
beautiful.
But this should be sipped.
I would
right?
never mix this with anything.
You would
This
never
is
mix
so
it.
pretty.
I'm with you on that. You know, so a lot of people that are a little bit put off by the you
Oh,
know
wow.
the strong,
Vanilla.
robust, you know, the aged barrel. So
Right,
the
right.
filter process kind of takes out some of those
It
spiciness and
it like is smoother than the one that we had from Jim.
but you're still getting these
Yeah.
But it's
these notes
Right.
that are just popping out
Yeah,
at you,
it's
right?
the flavor pops, but there's no burn, there's no warmth in the core. Like it is
It's
just
super smooth.
It's another dangerous tequila. That bottle will go.
Komos is doing a
quickly.
great job,
Yeah.
and really they come from some winemakers. This
Right.
is a European Mediterranean.
Correct.
Their winemaking process, they wanted to kind of put their touch on tequila. You know,
Yeah.
they were big fans of tequila. So again, you kind of got this thing going on where you've got different types of techniques, aged old techniques in winemaking that are being collaborated with tequila, which is just phenomenal. Especially
it's-
for us that are just enjoying it,
Right.
Yeah.
right? You know,
Yeah, like
it is a little bit
that's-
more on the expensive side, but the investment and everything that goes into this is quite tremendous.
It's worth it for sure. I mean, that's almost, to me, when I drink it, I'm like, I need to drink this during a special occasion, right? Like, this is not a after work, clock out, go and pour a glass. Like, for me, this is like, it's so smooth, and it's like it's a celebratory drink almost.
Correct.
Because of how smooth and how rich it is.
That's what people are afraid of. Their history with tequila maybe started early in high school.
Yeah, like
with the cheap,
bad
the
stuff.
cheap Azteca brand or something, with a worm, like you said, and they're like, I'm never again. I'm
Tequila does not for me.
I OD'd on tequila.
Yeah,
I'm never doing it again. But this is like just silky smooth.
So when you taste the two, Patrick, you notice how this is just kind of light. There's a lot more body to the Añejo.
Yeah, like the Añejo,
It's thicker. It's got almost like a, I call it, is it called clothing, like olive oil, like kind of, it's thicker.
I was thinking like more syrupy, but oily. Yeah, oily with olive oil. Like, it fills your throat, and like it's not like something you want to just quickly throw back.
No,
sometimes you can just let slide back down.
The flavors that just it keeps going as you go down. It's really both of these are beautiful.
Aged
stuff.
in French oak wine barrels for at least a year.
Yep.
So you got these French, who are notorious for winemaking, right?
Right,
I mean,
right.
they know what they're doing over there. And you're taking those barrels that have whatever, and aging. It's unbelievable. It's a great.
And just between the same line or the same company,
How
the
different.
two bottles are so much very different.
Yeah.
They're so very different, but each uniquely delicious.
Special in
within
their
their
own
own
way.
way.
Right.
Absolutely. Now,
Yep.
this is
Yeah.
these side by side within the nose and the palate. Like, it's good. They're both.
Komos, Ozzy and I will be taking checks for endorsement. Just let you know. We will send our addresses.
Yeah, right.
Here's the link to the website. We've got a shared link or whatever.
And you can get all these at the restaurants,
Yeah,
right? I mean, that's
correct.
the best thing. You can sit
Yeah.
at the bar and have your own little tasting there at the bar.
I'm
So-
definitely saving these.
So
too,
I want to get to that point within the restaurants, right? So if I'm sitting at the table, let's say I'm not at the bar at either Modesto or Mestizo's, and I don't know what these bottles are looking like, right? I don't know what I'm going to grab. I'm reading off of a paper menu that I have no idea what it is.
Sure.
Like,
It's tough.
what strategies are there as a consumer to look for within the tequilas to start asking, or are y'all within the training of your staff saying, hey, like, we got to educate them on what they need to know if they're into tequila? Let's start here. Let's ask them some questions. What's your experience? Are you from high school and college where you threw it back with a lime and salt, or are you interested in sipping and kind of slowly drinking this? From y'all's perspective as the restaurateurs, what do y'all do to kind of help bridge the gap between seeing these beautiful bottles at the bar versus somebody sitting at a table having no idea what this bottle looks like?
Yeah, I'll let Jim take this one first. I mean, we're probably on the
Okay,
same.
I think we're on this. Yeah, me and Ozzy were talking about this earlier, and we had a same mentality about this. So I do a twofold effect. I am blessed that I have got three beautiful bartenders that really have their knowledge and can kind of suggest. And I was talking to Ozzy earlier about how last year when we redid our bar menu, we dropped Patron altogether. Because Patron is not a discussion I want to have in this restaurant. It's too mass-produced. I'm not saying it's bad stuff, but I'm going to say it's bad stuff, and I don't care for it. And the other one,
it's bad stuff.
It doesn't fit the ambiance.
it doesn't fit.
We've grown up.
It's
Of
not
Mestizo.
fitting the discussion I want to have here
Right.
at this restaurant. And the other one we talked about, the rich people, that was leaving the restaurant this year as well because I think they're not worthy of a discussion either. So what I'm trying to do is focus on quality tequilas that matter and they're special, and you don't have to spend a lot of money. And there's new lines that I think make Patron look elementary, if that makes sense. So we guide them into our own direction. So one of the things we did do is on our tequila list menu on the bar, we break down the Blancos, the Reposados, the Añejos, Extra Añejos, and Cristalinos with an explanation of what that means. And then in my list, because if you're going for a Cristalina or Extra Añejo, you're not looking for basic stuff. So my list really focuses in on what I like at the moment. It may change next year, but it's quality stuff that I want people to taste. So it's about educating at the same time. But I'm intrigued because I get to work my floor a lot and have discussions with people of all ages, colors, everything. So I think COVID really allowed people to do some research, and I think that's why tequila exploded so much. And there's an appreciation because these are natural sugars; these aren't false sugars. And so, if you're trying to
That's a big deal.
drink cleaner as well as eat cleaner, tequila is there with vodka, and actually tequila is actually more preferred now than vodka. And so that's why I think so many people are gravitating, and you're seeing so many celebrities kind of come in. But what I'm not liking about some of the celebrity tequilas is there's a lot of false sugars now being added to their brands that it's cool to have that to get people to bridge the gap to tequila. Like, oh, this is not what I expected. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a quality tequila, 818. It just means that it's a good bridge, but it's a discussion still worth having. But it's that doesn't mean it's a great tequila,
Right.
per se.
I mean, tequila is becoming, it's not quite the extensive list of wine, right? Wine can be intimidating as far as your knowledge
Very
of wine. I mean, I'm
intimidating.
intimidated by wine,
Yeah.
and I know a decent amount about wine. I think I know a decent amount about tequila, but I really don't, because it's an everyday educational. So we try to have pre-shift meetings with our staff, but what we see generally in the restaurant, the people that are looking for this type of quality, they know what they're coming in for,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The majority of people who do want a good tequila, they will ask, hey, do you have a recommendation? And most of our staff do a good job. Like Jim, we have great bartenders. They're coming up. We had a tasting yesterday on different cocktails. We creativity in the mixology and the bar is a beautiful thing. Much like the kitchen, it's a beautiful thing, and we really allow that with our staff because they're part of the process. So, we may not, we don't have a tequila connoisseur at the restaurant full time that can
Right.
come to your table and tell you what are you looking for, kind of like wine. But certainly we try to, the reps come in, they try to do, little classes with
Training.
their training, and that's really what it's about is training. But it's a tough one because there's so many. I don't say there's so many coming out, but it's becoming more competitive, right?
And
a
again,
lot
like I
of
said,
great products.
every celebrity has,
Yeah.
it seems like, has their line, and some are good, and some are not so good.
Yeah.
And
I enjoyed the Michael Jordan bottle. I mean, that's,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, it's
I mean,
it's there.
it's there.
Didn't Tesla have a tequila?
I don't know, maybe.
Did it?
I think he did.
Okay.
But I know that that's just more of a name attached to a tequila,
Right.
right? That are they really going down there and looking after the process? I don't.
Do not talk about the Kardashians at 818. Please don't talk about that.
All right, moving on.
And next thing you know, the Kardashians are down here suing me.
The Kardashians.
Oh,
All right.
man. Okay, so you've got another bottle
Yes.
that
Oh, we got 2 left.
we have
Yes.
4
4.
left.
Wow, the conversation's changing, huh? Should we cut? No, I'm just joking.
So you've got one that's kind of resembling the one you just brought up, the Komos. So this is another reposado that you've got that you're about to reveal, but is a little different.
It's a little different.
Yeah.
So, again,
Oh, we're on
I'm a big fan of Maestro Dobel. And
Heyo.
their whole line
Great
is
product. Great.
freaking amazing. But I had to take it a step further, Ozzy, because I'm a bougie Mexican.
Yeah.
I think we're both, me and Ozzy are actually both bougie Mexicans.
bougie
We
Mexicans.
really are. That's a little
Yeah.
joke we have. But so what I did is I bought my own barrel. And so
I was about to say, there's handwritten. That's a handwritten
it's
label.
handwritten.
That is
and
phenomenal.
That's not
So-
a mass
Big time.
produced.
So what I
Look at
when
that.
I was able to taste, I got to sample 4 different barrel types.
Look at that.
Different
Got his name
aging
for it.
profile. And
That's
so
big time, man.
this is for sale at Mestizo
Did you go down
Restaurant.
there,
and
or is this just
No, of course-
through here?
of course, where was my trip at? I was like, good lord. But they brought me the sample barrels, and so I got to taste
got-
different ones. And it is, what was so interesting was, again, going back to the discussion we were having earlier about the difference between American oak, French oak, Hungarian
Sure.
oak, Canadian oak. It changes with each one. And so having a taste profile that you like, and when I chose this profile, I basically chose this because of the discussion we're having earlier about ranch water. Most people at home to save calories are doing something that they can sip with just over ice,
Correct.
or with a little simple Topo Chica. This would I would actually just do over ice with a fresh lime, orange, blood orange. That's all it really needs. And I go back and forth. I really prefer this at room temp. This one's just slightly different than the normal Maestro Dobel. But again, this is the one that we have for us.
That's like a fireworks in your mouth. That's a lot. It's
Clear, clear, clear.
It's very clear. I definitely get the cinnamon notes on the nose. And I guess we're going to get on the finish.
You're definitely going to get on the finish.
But the oak is there for sure.
Yep.
So I guess that's coming from a lot of bourbon drinking. We know to pick up the oak barrel,
And the vanilla, you can definitely, it's going to coat you on the way down. And then all of a sudden, I call it this little, it's a combination of what I call cinnamon black pepper that kind of comes up like a firework.
It hits you at the end.
But it's nice.
But yeah, exactly. It's not
nice.
like shaking. It's like, oh, hello, it's there.
Yeah.
But it's a good there.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a very delicious, flavor-filled aftertaste, which is good.
It is very good.
This is
The Dobel line they're doing phenomenal work.
Incredible stuff.
Incredible stuff.
So and this bottle in particular, or this line, is exclusive to
Mestizo Restaurant.
We didn't even plan this. How did our number 3 and 4 end up?
I don't know how that happened.
This was, folks,
Crazy.
Wait, that's not. I didn't even know what Jim was bringing. Did we?
No, I told y'all to send it to me
idea.
separate.
Yeah.
Y'all bring what you want.
Wow.
But no, and it lining up the way it did,
That's kind of crazy.
it's meant to be.
It's meant to be.
That's all I got to say. It's meant to be.
It's meant
Well,
to
wait.
be.
The last 3 of y'all's line up. It's gonna throw
Pretty
that out there.
They do, huh? And
Well,
we
your
didn't
number
consult.
4 is
Well,
also a
because,
Maestro.
Yeah.
Your number 4 is
The
also
whole line, this
the
is beautiful
50.
stuff.
The
Yeah.
Dobel.
Whoa! What is?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
So
What
I mean, this
that?
is another Cristalino. It's an Anejo. You can see I'm more of a, again, when I'm talking about clean drinking, right? I love the Anejo. But in terms of clean drinking,
That bottle,
this
though,
right here,
like, this is
like an
this
Erlenmeyer
is-
flask.
That's what I'm about to say. Like, this is interesting,
Yeah.
to say the
It's
least.
It's like a big beaker.
Yeah, exactly. I'm thinking like we're about
It's
to
an
do some,
Anejo. It's been
some
aged.
science guy.
Yeah.
Been aged probably 3-4 years and then it's been filtered through that charcoal. Now Cristalinos are real hot. That's kind of why I focused on them, because again, it's clean drinking, right? You're able to drink if you don't mix it with again, this is more of a sipping tequila, but a lot of people are just adding a little water, a little club soda, a little topo, right? Folks, Topo Chico is, if you're not on it yet, you should be, right?
Yep.
It's a great little mixer. A little mineral carbonated water. It's fabulous. So this is one of my favorites. I do drink this quite a bit. Again, it's are these clean glasses over here?
Yeah, those should be clean. Those should be clean.
But yeah, look.
That's- that cap
You want to
is-
pour this?
Ozzy, let me
feel
tell
that.
you.
Feel that.
Yeah.
You
That's
could
power.
hit somebody over the head with that.
It's
thing.
power.
Work it out, man. Work it out.
That is.
Yeah.
You feel like you're in chemistry class, huh,
my
lab?
gosh.
So Ozzy, I want to tell you about this one. So we just separated our desserts off the menu into a separate dessert menu, and underneath the desserts, I added 5 or 6 sipping tequilas. This is one of them because to me, this is dessert.
Yeah,
It is
You're right.
And that is a beaker. That is not a bottle of tequila. That is a beaker of tequila right there.
That is, yeah. It's
Okay.
it's
Now-
a fun bottle.
So this was June. So we're almost a year aging in the bottle itself. This was June 25th, 2022. This bottle was poured. This
But they
is
still
Yeah.
aged it and then they carbon
you get,
filtered it.
you know,
I
like
mean,
some of the
why-
notes, and again, some of the notes taken, I took these from, directly from some people that have kind of broken this thing
Right.
down. We're talking fig, quince, date, pineapple, pumpkin. I mean, these are some of the notes that people are picking up from this, which, is just amazing. So, American and Eastern European oak barrels, again, stripped of its color from the charcoal filtering process. So it probably would be in this color,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
But it's now clear.
Clear.
So it's
carbon
So
filter.
the charcoal filtering process, that is what
Strips the
takes
color.
it.
what they're finding is that
Yeah.
women are more attracted to the clear, right?
Right.
They're thinking that's more of a masculinity.
Because it reminds, again, if
Yeah.
I look at this bottle, I'm thinking of a bottle of bourbon.
Correct.
Which
Right.
is less attractive to
Correct.
that certain
Yeah,
population.
correct.
Yeah, and that's what they're sipping this, they're drinking
wow.
it. It's clear. I
This
mean,
is
it's
so
clean.
fruity.
So the very first time I had this Ozzy, for some reason I went to. I swear to you, this sounds awful. For some reason, I thought about going to the state fair and those caramel corns
After you
Yeah.
drink this,
because there's so much
It's amazing.
unique flavors of happiness of like a child when you're like think at the fair when you're eating all those caramel corns and
yeah,
all the.
yeah.
There's so much.
so this is almost also within the tasting notes. You've got pumpkin and spice in here. So dare I say, it's like a pumpkin spice tequila.
I mean,
No.
if that's what you're picking up.
No,
I'm
no,
Please do not
no.
bastardize it that way. No,
Yeah, I'm not getting a whole lot of pumpkin.
I'm not get that.
Hey,
But
Tony.
this is just fun. This is a fun tequila.
Yeah.
This is good.
I mean, I consider this a dessert tequila.
I would concur. This is definitely a nightcap style tequila.
Yeah.
At the end of the evening, you finish your meal.
This is
Very
yeah.
creamy.
It's very
Yes.
Smooth.
I don't want the calories from a dessert, but I'm gonna
But
do this instead.
I'll,
It's
take,
a great
I'll,
night.
I'll take a glass
yeah.
of this. This
Yeah.
is for
I
sure.
might throw an espresso bean in here. You know?
Hello.
Whoa, hang on now. Hang on.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Espresso tequila.
Yeah.
I don't think that would be terrible.
Yeah.
That would probably
Yeah.
be pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm
Would
not
be.
going to lie.
Would be very good.
So this is probably the most bold on the nose of the eight that we've had this evening.
You think so?
I
Wow.
think so. It's for some reason it's very strong on the nose in comparison to the rest of the ones we've had. Like the ones we've had this evening have been a typical on the nose type of tequila from a sipping standpoint. This one is like you get hit with it. You're like, okay, it's there.
Yeah.
Flavor's there. There's
It is, right?
different taste you're going to get and experience whenever you drink this, and it's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah. This is another one of my favorites. So I think Ozzy and I pretty much have a very similar profile.
How do we do that?
And look,
When we lined them up
People are
accordingly,
gonna be
so
like, I don't believe this.
so as
You
we
know?
transitioned, so it was absolutely hilarious. Ozzy and I had almost the same mezcal as we switch over to mezcal.
right.
We had almost the same one, except for I went to the Añejo. I think you went to the Reposado. It's one of my favorite lines as well. I said, I got to change it up a little bit. And so the one that I chose is quite interesting. I'd almost kind of forgotten about it, but it's so beautiful.
Well, so before we
Oh.
unveil it, I want to have the conversation
Yeah.
around the difference between tequila and mezcal.
Oh.
Let's talk
Oh,
about that.
goodness.
Because if I'm not mistaken, the 8 we've had prior
Yes.
have all been tequilas.
Correct.
And now we're having a shift, which again, how do y'all line these up the way that y'all do? Moving into a mezcal for the
I don't
both
know.
of you.
I'll tell you what
Osmosis?
I do. So what I do is when I do my little tastings for people just to have fun, I say, what's the difference between tequila and mezcal? I said, tequila is the drunk sorority girl on Bourbon Street. Mezcal is the drunk 19-year-old stripper on Bourbon Street. There's a lot more going on, okay?
I was
That's how
thinking
you-
cheaper.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Well, no, there's a lot more
That's an
going on.
interesting analogy.
You're going to take a little bit more risk.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Okay.
We're definitely at the end of the taste.
Yeah.
This is 9 and 10.
However, when I get their attention, like, okay,
But
then I say, okay,
yeah.
the real difference is think about a family reunion, and you go to the family reunion, but you have basically almost 100 first cousins.
Okay.
So tequila is the blue agave. That's all they can be. Tequila can only be blue agave.
Right.
Mezcal can be from all the other first cousins
All
of
the
tequila.
species, all the different.
It can also be part of blue agave.
Okay.
But espadín is the one that most people know about mezcal. I mean, there are multiple plants. Majority of your mezcals that you taste are from Oaxaca, but they can be grown throughout Mexico. And the plants they look different. They taste different. Even I'm still trying to wrap my brain around the sotul. It's another plant that they make mezcal with. It's interesting, but it's about just understanding that mezcal is still made in the old school way.
Very old school.
And I always tell people,
That's a good way of putting it.
think of a couchon de lait. like
Yep.
we do in Louisiana.
Got it.
They dig and they bury the agaves, and then they cover them, usually for at least 2 days, and they extract. So mezcal, on purpose, has more of a smokier flavor than tequila. They purposely take it out now, but mezcal kind of leaves it in. So there's more of a punch going on there. They're trying to get your attention.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
To
the
me,
tequilas are, I mean, the blue agave, they're cooking them in autoclaves.
Right.
This is earth pits.
Earth
right?
pits, okay.
They're putting big, wood, creating a wood pit, kind of like barbacoa. I grew up eating barbacoa. You smoke it in the earth. You put couchon de lait,
Right,
like you
same
said.
thing.
Same thing.
I put it in Louisiana terms so people can understand.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
oh, couchon de lait, yeah, man.
But it's quite the process. Exactly. Yeah.
So when they extract it, and again, that's where mezcal gets lost sometimes in the discussion, is how smoky it can be. Now, mezcal is fun that way because it's a great cocktail maker. Some people love mezcal by itself. I do. I like that smoky flavor as a Scotch drinker, so it doesn't bother me. But women typically are turned off by that smokiness flavor of mezcal. So what's fun is now mezcal is having this little shiny moment where they're aging it, they're manipulating, and some are softening up, which is the one I'm about to reveal. Mine's a little bit softer. I love Aussies because that's one of my favorites, truly. I love the flavor profile that they do with it, and they age it. This one's very, very soft, totally meant for cocktails. It's a great little brand that doesn't get a lot of attention, but it's the Casa Manglar Mezcal.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Okay.
It's a state grown in Oaxaca. They do 4 to 7 days underground, so they leave it down a little bit
4
longer.
to 7 days.
That's a long time underground.
Yeah, I
Smoky,
was shocked
smoky.
by that.
My gosh. So what's also been impressive to me is coming from the bourbon side of things, the percent of alcohol within these is low.
Yeah.
Like it's 90 proof. When you're talking about some type of bourbons, I've seen some 120, 130 proof.
Right.
But these 90 proof, 40%, 80 proof, it's lower.
Yeah.
Which is intriguing.
Now this one also, they double distill in copper pots. This one's so light for a mezcal. And I also
Which is good.
save a little
Yeah.
bit because next to what you're about to reveal, it's a different profile, but it's so different. So good.
different.
Yeah.
Well, the aging process, right?
Aging process is a little bit different.
So they do it all the same up, and then they just go back into the barrels.
Go back to the barrel.
But again, another clear
But, mezcal really represents the old school.
Old school. Actually,
You know.
tequila was done.
Yeah.
That's the way tequila was
Yeah.
done in the old days
It's
as
kind
well.
of the predecessor, predecessor. Or
So-
whatever.
So it's like before,
Right.
oh wow,
It's
like
more family.
I get that smokiness before
Wait
I
till
even
you
get
smell.
into the glass.
Okay.
Oh,
it's
like almost like like you're at the
I
barbecue.
mean, it's very
Yeah, it's-
again. People are either you're kind of like Jim's a Scotch drinker, right?
Right,
He
now this is very
appreciates-
scotchy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
this is-
it's
But you're going to be shocked how this smoke is not going to penetrate all the way down. It's totally it's a lighter finish.
Oh yeah,
it's a different.
No, it is. It's very heavy on the nose again, but it just it like relaxes itself as
Yeah.
it goes down. That's good.
You know,
That's
Very
very
good.
My
drinkable.
favorite thing about this is I think of like when you're sick and you have a hottie toddy.
Okay.
You're try-
Clear you up.
Well, you're telling yourself the hottie toddy is going to clear you up.
Of course,
I guarantee this shit will
Yeah.
clear you up real quick.
this will
Yeah.
this will wake you up
Wake you up and like,
and
oh,
clear you up.
A great cocktail with mezcal is an old fashioned, right? People
Correct.
love a bourbon, old fashioned, right? So I'm sure Jim has it on his menu. We have it on our menu. You can get an old fashioned with tequila, which is fabulous,
Right.
Right? You can get it with mezcal, which is I think even better.
even better. I
Even
agree.
better. So,
So and hang on, I want to talk
yeah,
about
before
that for
we
a
get
sec.
to-
before we get to
Yeah.
the final bottle, is I do want to talk about that misconception that you have to, if you're going to go order old fashioned, it has to be with bourbon, it has to
Yep.
be with whiskey, it has to be with a rye.
Yeah.
However, y'all are kind of, I don't know if you're changing the game necessarily, but you're educating again the public that you can have an old fashioned with tequila, with mezcal. It's not limited
Right.
to just your darker spirit with your
Correct.
bourbon and whatnot. So do y'all serve that on your menu, number one? And how do you, again, from an education standpoint with what we're getting here, how do you educate your patrons on, hey, I understand you want an old-fashioned with, Makers or Woodford. Try it with this Mezcal. How do you push that to somebody who wants an entirely different drink?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I mean, right now we do have a Mezcal old-fashioned, and we have seen that it does well, but it skews towards males, you know, and so now we're gonna, and again, I think an old-fashioned skews towards males regardless.
Yeah,
right?
my wife's never gonna order an old-fashioned.
Correct.
My wife's never gonna order an old-fashioned.
But we do have whiskey in our name, so we're gonna start doing. We're on our menu update here. We just went through this yesterday. Is we're gonna offer a nice bourbon whiskey, traditional, old-fashioned, and then a tequila one or a mezcal, and let the guests, kind of, because really it's underrated, in my opinion, the old-fashioned with mezcal. The smokiness in there, it's just a great, great drink. It's very enjoyable, so I highly recommend you try it.
Yep.
If you want to give, I think it's a good segue into mezcal,
Right.
because it by itself can be, a lot of,
Intense.
it's intense.
Yeah, it's intense.
It's intense.
It's pungent.
It is
the
pungent.
smokiness
The tannins
of it is
are
pungent.
heavy.
Yes.
You know?
But again, I love a good smoked old-fashioned. I love good barbecue. I love a good smoked brisket, smoked chicken, whatever it is. I have an appetite for that smoky flavor.
Sounds like
Then everybody
4th
does.
of July, you need to be on some mezcal.
Oh,
So
100%.
Look,
100%.
this is totally just a joke, but I'm friends with all of them. But if y'all been to supper club where they do the
Yep,
whole
yep.
presentation, like, bitch, just use mezcal. You don't need all that smoke. Mezcal can do the same damn thing.
Light it.
It's like
Put a match in there.
you did all that. I mean, presentation, I'm okay with it, but you can use mezcal and get that same flavor profile. Mezcal in cocktails is just beautiful stuff. It's an underrated little note where you can kind of elevate, because a lot of mixologists want to use their acidants or their bitters to kind of start adding layers, and that's what's so beautiful about
It's
mezcal.
a deep layer, man. Deep
you can
layer.
put one little punch of mezcal and it completely transforms a cocktail all by itself.
Yeah.
And so that's what's fun. And again, this one I chose was really reasonable. This is like 46. I mean, it's a very reasonably priced mezcal.
It's a very good
And,
mezcal,
and then
too.
there was another one I had that was around 45. So you can add that flavor profile without, breaking that cocktail. We can still keep it a normal realm. But mezcal is just one of those things. If you want to do something different, I think of mezcal as in the fall, like instead of football season.
It is a
Instead
cooler
of,
weather.
Instead of Jack or Crown.
It's tough to drink during the
This is
during the
this
heat
is
of
during the
moment.
heat of Cinco de
Yeah.
Mayo
Right.
in Louisiana.
dragon breath.
Yeah,
You're
you know.
firing it out. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I love about mezcal. So, but I do like Ozzy's reveal. This is a good one.
Well,
It's a
look,
great
I
one.
mean,
Let's get
we've
to it,
been
man.
on the so it's the Ilegal.
Ooh.
Mezcal Anejo. So you can see, I mean, it's probably
It's dark.
look at the
so-
color.
Look at
Yeah.
the
I
color
mean,
in
it's-
there.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff.
It matched up against the
Yeah,
it's the same.
both of
you know.
these actually, if you think
Aged
about it.
in
Yep.
It's the
barrels.
same color.
So that's got a great story. There's a guy that was illegally,
So, yeah.
taking this to Antigua to his bar over there, and kind of,
Is that where the
whole
name comes
story.
from?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know?
So
Plus,
this
with
is-
illegal burritos, I thought, hey, why not?
Yeah.
I'm gonna,
Well, and this, so the label on this gives like a pirate's map.
Correct.
Like,
Yeah,
like,
more
like
of a
where's
Caribbean,
the treasure?
right?
Caribbean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost kind of like a rum dealing.
Correct. It's great. It's fabulous. Again, this has been aged for 3-4 years in some French barrels, American barrels, oak barrels.
And so to note, we were talking earlier, this was also mine as well. And then I was like, damn, we both have that same one we like. I said, we got to make it more interesting. So let me change and I chose this as well. But this
There
is
you go.
also beautiful, beautiful stuff.
So, and
There was
that-
another one too, Hoven, which means young, because
Yep.
a lot of father-son. There's one Hoven, and it's very limited. It's hard. I couldn't get a bottle,
Okay.
and it's a father-son combination where they only produce like 1,200 bottles a year or so.
Was that the bottle you brought on the show?
I think it might have been.
Is it had like a lime green label to
Yes,
it? Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I
so
did
we
bring
did. So we
that.
did
Okay.
taste
Yeah,
it. So
we did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
So,
I totally forgot about
check
that.
out that one because it is
Hoven,
the father
Hoven.
son. Hoven. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Wait, is
so,
this our last one? We have to do the salute thing.
But at the very end.
At the
that's where
very
we
end,
sign off.
after-
Oh,
this
we're
is-
gonna have another
But
shot.
wait, this
or
is
what?
so
We gotta talk about
beautiful.
this one. So maple, clove, and bitter orange aromas.
I mean, this in a old fashioned right here would just
is beautiful stuff.
you know.
Well, I mean,
but it's a great sipping
the
tequila.
The coloring from it is.
I mean, look how easy.
And again, that coating. See how thick? I mean, this one has.
It's like oily almost.
Yeah.
Like you spin the wine around the glass.
There's a lot of body to this one.
What kind of legs are there?
The work that goes into the just not only the maturing of the piña and again, that's what mezcal is. It doesn't have to be blue agave, right? It can be a different species. It's not, and that's what they do. But the smokiness, the earth pit that they make, and the special wood. I mean, they use, in Oaxaca, they do have a lot of mesquite. They're doing different kind of woods there, and this earth pit, and then they put the fiber left over that they extracted from the previous cook, and they got this volcanic rock that they put the wood first, start a fire, put the rocks over it, and the rocks become just, fiery hot. And then they put the agave, they quarter them in there, whatever they do. They just make a big mound, and then they cover it with the fibrous material, and then they put a kind of a
banana leaves.
Yeah, banana leaves, and then they put sand on top, and then they put a cross at the top. They really
to go with
it's
the
ceremonial.
They
It's
said
ceremonial.
Yeah. They said they put a cross on there because, as long as there's a cross, no bad can come in.
Right.
And
it's very
2-3 day smoking process there, and then that's just the beginning. Then the whole fermentation process
has to go through. Yep.
And now the aging with this particular bottle. I mean, you're talking between the life of the piña. You're talking about 9-12 years before
it's hitting the bottle.
Yeah.
That long?
Well, if you take
from start to finish,
from start to finish,
which is
that
quite,
and it's very. You get a very on the nose. It's very. I don't know if it's oaky or what type of wood it is, but it's very woody. Like when you get on the nose, it's very, very woody. And then you get that smoke flavor right after. It's like there's a campfire in the glass. That's basically what it smells like.
So, Ozzy, the first time I went to Oaxaca, and the last day of our trip, we went to a small mezcal maker, and we went there, and we're doing the process, and so they show us how they extracted. So as I'm sitting there watching the whole process, I'm watching the donkey pull the tejona around, extracting.
That's
and,
it, the donkey.
And there's chickens running around, and they have their baby run around in his diaper. And I'm thinking, this would never happen in the U.S. because PETA would be here, social services would be here. I mean, it's
the health department.
The health department would have like a field. It was everything that we can never allow happen here. But it was the fact that it was a whole family that was involved in making these mezcals. And one thing about mezcal, it's a beautiful story, just like tequila. You almost have to sample so many to find ones that you really, really like. Yeah. But I will say this, the Ilegal line is guaranteed beautiful, beautiful stuff.
So good. It's
very
good.
Beautiful stuff. Like, you're never going to be disappointed in that line.
Like this almost is like not needing anything added to it.
No, it's absolutely not.
It has like a smoked old-fashioned flavor to it.
By itself.
Like exactly. Like what you get within, what Amazon or whatever will sell you within the box, and you put the wood chips in, you burn it, it gives that smoky flavor. This, just pour a glass and be done.
Just after a round of golf or something, you come back home and you just pour yourself a
I've got
little Ilegal.
I've got a round of golf tomorrow. I might
there
have to
you
get the bottle.
Bingo.
Pour it when I get back.
You can have it.
So, Ozzy, should we finish with our toast for this one?
Or do we have any left? He
no,
drank it all.
I know, we went through it all, for God's sake.
I'll take another
pour.
We'll
let Patty G.
I'll take another pour.
What do you want to finish on? What was your favorite? How about that? That's a good one, huh?
Ooh, wow.
So,
Patty G.
So y'all mentioned
what was your favorite?
Y'all mentioned during this whole bit the fact that y'all are bougie Mexicans, right?
Bougie Mexicans.
Bougie Mexicans. So I'm a bougie Cajun, right? And I want to go for the.
There you go.
I want to go
was
for
a
this
great
bottle
choice.
here.
Does it make you feel better that Ozzy's bougie Mexican, you're bougie Cajun, I'm bougie Mexican Cajun?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
So it's the perfect blend.
It's the trend. It's the trend. Yeah. I like it. So I'm gonna get another pour of this, just to.
We have a clean glasses.
We just go empty.
Yeah,
Look, hang on, wait.
Doesn't matter.
At this point, I think we're good.
All right, it's empty. You know, I wasn't sure how this one tasted, so I just,
It's a good thing you brought an Uber, or you're getting an Uber.
Yeah. And you know, I kept saying during COVID, I said, Fauci would have just discovered tequila mezcal.
Yeah, we no
could have
mask.
we could have skipped all that process we went through.
All right. So look, this is a traditional toast, right?
Correct.
You know, in Mexico for especially at the. This is a tequila toast, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So.
So, and by the way, just mute my microphone and enhance Ozzy's
No,
so I don't
no.
butcher the pronunciation of everything we're about
All right,
to do.
so tequila toast. You ready,
Yeah.
guys?
Ready.
Para arriba.
Para arriba.
Para abajo.
Para abajo.
Para el centro.
Para el centro.
Para adentro.
Para adentro.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Wow.
Great segment.
And with that, happy Cinco de Mayo, y'all.
Happy Cinco.
We're out.